All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us here tonight. And I hope that this meeting or this presentation will be informative for you. My name's Rebecca Zito. I'm the Senior Manager of Public Affairs for PWSA, and I'm joined by Beth Dutton, who is a Senior Manager in our Engineering Department, or Senior Project Manager, I'm sorry, in our Engineering Department, and she works primarily on stormwater. And so we want to share with you tonight an update on our stormwater management plans. And so why does stormwater matter? Well, we want to have a city that is protected from the impacts of stormwater and the wet weather challenges that we experience in Pittsburgh. And by better managing stormwater, we can reduce the amount of sewage and pollution that overflows into our rivers and streams. We can work towards having fewer homes that experience basement backups when it rains. And we can also become a more livable city by using green infrastructure that can help to bring environmental and community improvements to our neighborhoods. And so today we're going to talk about the stormwater challenges that we experience, what we are doing to address them, and describe why a stormwater fee can be an equitable way to help. Across the nation, regions are experiencing the impacts of heavy precipitation. And in the Northeast and in Pittsburgh, between 1958 and 2012, there was a measurable increase in the amount of storms that we experienced. There was tracked a 71% increase in these events that bring heavy precipitation to our area. And this is only getting worse. Today in Pittsburgh, we average approximately 38 inches of rain a year. And that would be manageable if the rain would fall evenly across the 365 days in each year. But with more severe storms that dump a lot of rain very quickly, and with so much concrete and so much of our city paved over, the rain needs somewhere to go. Climate change is, of course, a factor, and we're seeing an increase in the intensity of storms, and also a substantial increase in concrete, the impervious surfaces throughout our cities. So that's becoming more and more difficult for water to be absorbed. Now, there is data that shows that these severe storm events in Allegheny County are increasing. A severe storm is something that includes thunderstorm, wind, hail, or tornadoes. And this data is tracked by the National Oceanic Administration. From the 1950s through the last decade, the 2010s, they have tracked a notable increase in severe storms. In the 1950s, there were approximately 12 events that occurred. But then fast forward to the 2010s, there were 120 of severe storms. So that's a 900% increase over these decades. Now, this is also a problem because stormwater often combines with sanitary sewer water. This is the water that we flush down our toilets or goes down our drains. Stormwater would often combines with it in our sewer systems. And when the sewer system is overwhelmed, instead of sending the sewage to the treatment plant, it instead overflows into our rivers and streams, or it can back up into people's basements. And it doesn't take very much rain for this to happen. The system can overflow with just an inch of a rain or less. Now, our system, it was not built for this volume of water. When our sewer system was originally started, originally started construction on the sewer system in the mid 1800s. Areas of Oakland and Shadyside are where some of the first sewer mains were first installed. Now, 100 or so years ago, it was a much different city. There was more green space, there were less buildings, and it was okay to send sewage into the rivers. But now, fast forward to 2021, we have a lot more pavement. There is much more hard surface than we've had in the past. And with more rain and these localized storm events, our system is just not able to handle the amount of water that we're experiencing, the amount of rainfall that we're experiencing. And until recently, Pittsburgh did not have a unified stormwater strategy. And this is where PWSA is really stepping up to tackle our stormwater challenges. Our goal is to build a system that keeps as much stormwater as possible out of the sewers during storms, so that when it rains, we don't have basements backing up with raw sewage. We don't have neighborhoods and streets flooding with rainwater. And we don't have combined sewer overflows occurring in our rivers. Now, one of the ways that we are trying to manage stormwater is by building green stormwater projects. This project, it's the Center and Heron Stormwater Project in the Upper Hill District. It was constructed between 2017 and 2018. And it's a stormwater system that uses a combination of vegetation and underground storage to manage stormwater. When during a rainstorm, a series of rain gardens will begin to capture the rain, and the plants and the soils provide an opportunity for the rainwater to absorb into the ground, and then it enters an underground storage system, which is made up of what we call R tanks. And they look like plastic milk crates, and they're modular and can be used in a lot of ways in different projects. But the storage system will help to hold back the water during the rainstorm so that it's not entering the sewer system. And eventually, once the rain stops, the storage system will eventually allow the water to release into the sewer system at a rate that is more manageable. And so these systems, these projects, they're designed to capture and hold excess runoff before it enters the sewer system or overflows into a river. And they can also help to beautify neighborhoods. We have constructed about 13 of these projects throughout Pittsburgh. And this summer, we have started construction on 4 different projects. 2 of them are in Shadyside. One of them is in Squirrel Hill. And we just recently started a project in North Point Breeze. And they use, each of them uses various techniques that rely on vegetation and storage, so a combination of the green strategies and the more traditional strategies for managing stormwater. There is a project that's currently in the works for the South Side. This is the South Side Park Stormwater Improvement Project, and it uses it uses kind of the natural features of the park to help manage stormwater. The park itself does have a lot of seeps, and when it rains, there is a lot of runoff that comes from the hillsides. And so we are using a series of channels and rain gardens, and as well as storage that will help to manage stormwater runoff within the park. This will eventually connect up with a system along South 21st Street, and then manage, and then also at the outfall along the Monongahela River. We expect to begin construction in 2022, and then the project cost for this is approximately $4.9 million. There are significant partnerships with this project. The Department of Public Works is implementing a master plan project for the South Side Park, and so the stormwater improvements are part of that master plan and will be constructed prior to the park improvements. We're also working with the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy on the 21st Street portion of the project, and then there is funding from Elkassan through their GROW grant program. Now, in order to construct those projects, it does take significant funding, and we do need to look at how we are charging for stormwater. And right now, for anyone receiving a bill from PWSA, there are two different line items on your bill. One of them is for drinking water, and the other one is the sewer conveyance charge. And those are both based on water usage. So it's the water that's measured through your meter, as it's either coming into your house or leaving your house. And the way that we charge for stormwater right now is through this sewer conveyance charge. And it's not necessarily the most equitable way to charge for stormwater because it's based on water usage, which has nothing to do with stormwater. There are properties in Pittsburgh that have very little water usage, so they might not be paying an equitable amount in comparison to other properties. And then there are some properties that don't have a water meter at all. So they could be generating quite a bit of runoff and not contributing anything at all. So by developing a separate stormwater fee, it would ensure that all properties are paying an amount that is equitable or equivalent to the amount of runoff that their property is generating. So starting in 2022, if our rate proposal is approved by the PUC, stormwater would be billed differently. Now, in order to get to this point, we had to do quite a bit of legwork. We have taken the time to measure every parcel in Pittsburgh. It was mapped using aerial photography. And so we were able to measure the hard surfaces that are on a property. And so now, even if a parcel has no water meter, it will be eligible to pay the stormwater fee. So the stormwater fee, it will be based on the amount of impervious surface on a property. Let me jump ahead. It will be based on the amount of impervious surface on a property. The impervious surface is the hard surface, such as roofs and sidewalks and parking areas that don't absorb water. The hard surfaces will, they generate stormwater runoff, they collect trash and send polluted water into local waterways. And it can also overwhelm our sewer system. Now in Pittsburgh, the average amount of impervious surface on a property is approximately 1,650 square feet. And this is equal to one equivalent residential unit of impervious surface. And ERU, it is the unit of measure for calculating a stormwater fee, and it's accepted as the industry standard for determining a stormwater rate. And so if you look at these squares, these represent a parcel of property. Now the green square, that could be considered your yard, a grassy area. And the gray areas would be considered the impervious surface. That's what the stormwater fee is based on. So a property would be charged an amount that is only based on the impervious surface. And in order to try to make this more equitable, we have developed 3 different residential tiers where the second tier falls between 1,015 square feet of impervious surface to 2,710 square feet of impervious surface. This is where the majority of Pittsburgh residential properties would fall. And it is considered the base rate, or one equivalent residential unit. So all residential properties would be charged a monthly flat rate, falling into one of these three tiers, and non-residential properties would be based on the ERU. So if a parking lot, as an example, would have 5 ERUs, it would be 5 times the base rate that's approved by the PUC. So to just give you an idea of what that looks like, the rates that we have proposed are here in the second and third column. The monthly rate for 2022 is the one that we will focus on. For residential, for the base rate, or that second residential tier, the monthly amount would be $5.96. Anyone falling within the tier 1 category would be charged half an ERU, and anyone falling within the third tier 3 would be charged 2 times the base rate. So $11.92. And then all non-residential property owners would be charged for the total number of ERUs on their property. So there will be some number that's determined based on the mapping that we previously have done, multiplied by the $5.96. Does anybody have any questions at this point? No? All right, I'll keep going.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, so a portion of my roof drains into a water barrel, and would therefore not be creating runoff that would go into the stormwater system. How would that be taken into account in determining the ERUs?
Yes. So I'll just skip ahead. There is a stormwater fee credit program that we are developing, and it provides an opportunity for both residential and non-residential properties to be able to reduce the amount of their stormwater fee. And this is actually a very important part of this, where we want to incentivize property owners to reduce the impact of stormwater. PWSA, we can only do so much working on public property, but it's going to take everybody working together to help to reduce the impacts that we experience from stormwater. And so right now, the way that we have proposed for residential customers to be able to receive a credit is to either disconnect their downspouts and redirect runoff into a planted area, or they can control at least 3/4 of an inch of runoff from impervious surface into something like a rain garden. Right now, the rain barrels, they're not part of the credit and incentive program. We are looking at ways and discussing internally how we can make that possible. Because we are finding that a lot of residents are using rain barrels to help manage stormwater. And so whether it's a credit or whether it's like some sort of rebate program in order to help fund or to provide a residential customer with the rain barrel, that's something that would have to be determined in a future iteration of the credit program.
So initially, it would not be a creditable So another question, another neighbor of mine, we have 2 green roofs on the block here. They've spent great expense putting in a green roof that is supposed to do just this. We do that commercially all the time.
Mhm.
And you're right now not going to write that in as a creditable methodology for that owner to get to not get a credit for that? I mean, that
Not,
seems like that's not a very fair. If a resident is going to go to the expense of putting in a green roof, which is the primary purpose is to absorb that and the cost, and then they don't get it, but they get a disconnected downspout, they get a credit for that. But we all know in the south side, if you disconnect your downspout and put it onto the street, it goes into the same sewer that your sewage out of your basement goes into. Anyways, it's a combined sewer system. So that's a little disingenuous and not, I guess it's not doing what you're hoping it does, and it's just kind of confusing the matter. I would strongly encourage you to include things like green roofs,
the
barrels, and things like that, especially for a neighborhood like ours.
the goal is to control at least 3/4 of an inch of runoff from impervious surface and direct that into something such as a rain garden. So I would think that if you're using a system like a green roof or
Well, that's
or
I guess
another mechanism, then yeah, that would be something that would be part of this credit and incentive program. Right now, what's not included is the rain barrels.
I don't understand that, because a rain barrel takes stormwater out of the stormwater system. I don't understand why that would not. If the rain barrel is draining into a planted area, the overflow from the rain barrel drains into a planted area. It's exactly the same concept as disconnecting the downspout and redirecting the property drainage to a planted area. So that makes no sense whatsoever.
So you're saying that that you have a rain barrel that's going into a planted area.
Correct. Every rain barrel has runoff. I mean, once the rain barrel fills up, something happens to the water that then is not absorbed into the rain barrel. And at least in my situation, and I think in many other situations, that runoff is going into a planted area.
I think this write-up could be a little more specific to neighborhoods such as ours. First of all, very few people in the south side have room for a rain garden. So, we have room for rain barrels and we have room for green roofs. We're mostly roofs down here in hard surface. So the only one we qualify for, most people, is the first one. I think the second comment here could easily be a bridge to include green roofs, rain barrels, and other collection devices on property or something like that, to make it more saleable for our neighborhood and other neighborhoods like ours. Lawrenceville and Northside, they've got to be thinking the same exact thing. We do not have the land. This is clearly written for East End properties with a half an acre, and they can do whatever they want. We do not have rain gardens.
This is good feedback, and I think that the credit program that we have here it's a starting point, and it can certainly change over time. And so we can take this back and think about and how we can adjust this, because you're right that a lot of neighborhoods in Pittsburgh are very dense and need to find ways to manage stormwater in a way that works for their property.
So
thanks for the flexibility.
So if I could just chime in from the aerial imagery, it's impossible for PWSA to determine where permeable pavement projects are, and even green roofs. It might not always be easy to determine that. So there will be an opportunity for a property owner to review what we have calculated as your impervious area and compare it to what you have calculated. So for example, if you have installed a green roof on your property, what you could do is you could subtract out the area of that green roof, and that might drop you down to the next lower tier. Similarly, if you converted your driveway from asphalt, which runs off a lot of stormwater, to permeable pavers, and we didn't see that from the aerial photography, you could also deduct that from your total impervious surface. So that just that addresses those two types of green infrastructure, in that they would be used to deduct your impervious surface and possibly drop you to the next lower tier. Now, as far as rain barrels, what we're seeing other municipalities do when they give credit for those is they give a one-time $40 credit for the installation of a rain barrel, as opposed to a monthly ongoing credit for a rain garden. A rain garden can manage a significantly larger amount of stormwater runoff 12 months a year. A rain barrel generally manages between 55 gallons and 113 gallons. And you need to take those rain barrels offline during the winter months. Otherwise, they'll freeze and get damaged.
I think that's a little.
Or you open the spout at the bottom of the rain barrel and it drains into a planted area.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little regressive terminology, because you're basically saying, hey, if you own a 1 acre lot or a half-acre lot, bigger your house, you can get away with a larger deduction because you have room for rain gardens. And if you live in a dense neighborhood like ours, sorry, there's no way out of it except for maybe.
Unfortunately, with these intense storms we have, a rain barrel fills up very quickly, and it drains relatively slowly. So other municipalities, when they do a credit for a rain barrel, it's a different sort of credit, but it's definitely something that the next time we put forward any changes to the PUC, we will definitely consider a rain barrel.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. I also want to remind Mike that many of us do have gardens here on the south side. We even have a garden tour, so it's not all cemented up, and that needs to be looked at.
Yes, but they are not going to just view a garden as a rain garden, Robert. They're going to want to know that it can be absorbed in the soil, and it's not just, a lawn will not count, I'm sure, a little lawn like we have. So you'll have to be able to carry the water that there's very specific calculations that we have to do. I have to do as an architect to prove that the land that's available is going to absorb and carry the flow that we're determining is going to fall on that property. And most of us, as much as we, I know we all have gardens and little yards, it's not large enough to absorb that.
Yeah, you're right about the architectural design of an area of the garden to be a rain garden. It is something we could, for example, could develop. And again, I think carefully calibrating this to fit everybody's needs is the key.
And just one of the things to keep in mind too is that there are 3 residential tiers. So you still may be like the base rate is falls between this range of square footage for impervious surface, and for smaller parcels where the square footage is less, or the impervious surface is less, you would drop into a lower tier. So I don't know specifically what the sizes of or the amount of impervious surface on each of your individual properties are, but they might be at a size where it falls below the base rate.
Well, I'm going to say the typical south side house is a residential tier 2.
Okay.
I have a question.
I have one.
You mentioned something about there were some locations who had no meters. Why is that?
Because they are areas where it might be something like a parking lot or a vacant lot that doesn't require a water connection.
I had a question. You've talked about sort of where you could apply if you've done a green roof or a garden to get a reduction. Is there any tie-in with zoning? For example, like the example I'm thinking of is my neighbor next door has applied on his side lot to put a 20 by 20 parking pad in. So that will vastly change, and this is actually on 21st Street of all things. So it's vastly going to change the stormwater runoff story that you guys have gotten from a snapshot now of aerial footage. Will you be maintaining and like watching when people actually remove the ability for absorption? And how frequently will you do that?
I'm not sure of the frequency in which we'll be going back to measure the impervious surface. It is something that we will have to do on a routine basis. And so that will provide us with an ability to maintain and be aware of the changes that are occurring with each property. Another thing that is happening in parallel to the stormwater fee is that the city is going through a process right now to update their stormwater codes and ordinances, and so that will lead to a more modern set of stormwater standards that people would have to build to.
Do you have a sense when that's applicable? Because like the application's out right now in this runoff area.
I believe that the public hearings are happening. Like it has gone through the planning commission already, I believe, or is very, very close to doing so. So I think that it's a decision that will be before them at some point this year.
Okay, but so if you're going to pave a parking lot, though, now's the time to do it.
Yes, now would be the time to do it.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure they know that because yeah, we're losing a lot.
All right. Yes, so just to close out the credits and incentive section is that all of this will still need to be approved by the PUC, and the credit manual itself will be finalized before the fee goes into effect. There is customer assistance available for stormwater as well. We have a bill discount program that is available to customers that are at or below 150% of the federal poverty level. And those who are enrolled in the bill discount program would receive an 85% discount on their stormwater rate each month. This also is still pending PUC approval. And then once they're enrolled in the bill discount program, there's several other benefits that they would be eligible for, including a 100% discount on the minimum water charges and the minimum wastewater charges. And there's more information about that on our website. Some of the activities that the stormwater fee will fund are, of course, the capital costs associated with projects. That is where a good portion of the stormwater fee would go towards. There's also direct costs for day-to-day maintenance, involving the cleaning of catch basins, weeding and maintaining the rain gardens or other stormwater infrastructure, and then meeting the various water quality requirements that we need to meet. And then finally, indirect costs. And these are the shared costs throughout PWSA.
So this is not just capital projects. This is ongoing maintenance. So this fee has no sunset then. This will be in perpetuity.
Correct, yes.
It will only go up. Okay. I'm a little disappointed because direct costs should be already being set aside and carved out of the money we spend already on our fees and on our water and sewage bills that we pay currently.
Well, a lot of this is funded through the wastewater conveyance charge. And so what you will see is that there is going to be a reduction in the wastewater conveyance charge on your bill. So some of it is a reallocation of how that funding is currently used.
Okay. But how much of the fee is meant to be? What's the breakdown of these 3 points on the screen now? Is it 50, 25, 25, 75, 12 and a half, 12 and a half?
To go back, I don't have that information at my fingertips, so I would have to go back to be able to answer that question and follow up with you.
Okay. Yeah. It's commingled in a way that, you know, I understood it the first time when it was presented as it was capital costs, and I didn't understand that it was going to be rolled in. So now it has direct costs and indirect costs, and, you know, basically it'll be going on forever. And, you know, how is the other fund then going to pay for other capital improvements? Your discharge fee that's on your bill now, I mean, it's currently paying for stuff, correct?
Yeah, there's capital improvements that we are making on our sewer system. We're relining and rehabilitating old sewer lines, and so that's a portion of the wastewater conveyance charge. There's also direct costs associated with the sewer system that would need to be funded through the wastewater charge. So yes, there is maintenance involved with running a water and sewer authority. So it is a portion of the expense that's associated throughout our budgets.
The problem is these are very much aging assets, and they need constant rehabilitation and maintenance.
Right.
All right, and so there's also a planning effort going on around stormwater, where we are developing a future-looking master plan for Pittsburgh, and this will build off of existing plans and become a blueprint to address our local stormwater challenges. We do have a consulting team that is helping us with this, and we plan to have the final plan ready in June of 2022. And as we're going through this planning process, there will be opportunities for public engagement. We would like to hear from a diverse group of residents and ratepayers and stakeholders to share the concerns that they have around stormwater. And we do want to pay special attention to those neighborhoods where stormwater issues are very prevalent, and also try to reach the neighborhoods that we don't normally hear from during these planning efforts. And there's also more information on our website. And I just want to mention that if you do experience any basement backups or flooding, that it's very important that you give us a call to let us know that this is happening. And there's two reasons why you should do that. The first is that if you are experiencing a backup during a storm, our sewer crews will come out to investigate the area after the storm has passed. And that's primarily to make sure that there's not a backup in the sewer main or anything blocking the sewer main that would have caused the backup. They'll check laterals and just make sure things are functioning as they're supposed to. The other reason is that this information helps to inform other projects, future projects, and begins to identify some trends and problem areas that we need to be more aware of. So the information does help to inform future projects. So you can either call us or you can report things to the city's 311, either their phone number or using their app. And then finally, there is a payoff for this. It is a way in which we will all benefit. We will begin to see households experience fewer basement backups, and that will be an improvement for them. We can make better use of our riverfronts, and that will lead to more economic development and more recreational opportunities. We'll have cleaner water, cleaner rivers, and brings about many environmental improvements and community improvements that we would all be able to enjoy. This will take time, but we can better manage stormwater and achieve these benefits for Pittsburgh. If you would like to learn more about our stormwater plan, I encourage you to check out the website that we've put together. It's pgh20stormwater.com. And if you have any questions, Beth is the best point of contact to reach out to, and she will be able to help address your questions. And if there are any other questions, I'll be happy to answer any that you may have.
I would just
Can I
like to
ask-
say I'm very grateful that PWSA is instituting this stormwater tax or fee. It will be a much more equitable way, obviously, of paying for the expenses relating to stormwater. I'm really delighted that you are moving in this direction, and hope that, I expect it will reflect well on our residential bills in some way, because we'll have people paying the fee who have never contributed to the effort in the past. And to me, that's just very positive. And I thank you for moving in this direction.
Thank you. We appreciate the feedback.
And Lise has a question.
Thanks.
Yes.
I just wanted to know how to get on the radar. When you mention new projects, there are streets in the south side that don't have a sewer connection. And as opposed to handling it as an individual solution, are there ways to sort of get on the agenda for future infrastructure projects in ways that might solve multiple issues at once and be better for the neighborhood as a whole?
I think if you can send us an email with some of the problems that you're experiencing, we can share that information with our engineering department. They go through a capital planning process each year. And so there's like a waiting process that they'll place on proposed projects. So that might be one way to begin to raise attention about some of the improvements that you would like to see happen within your neighborhood.
Thank you.
One of the projects that PWSA has in the queue for the Southside Flats area is a separation. So instead of the stormwater from the roofs and the streets going into a combined sewer, we're going to try to separate out as much of the stormwater, the clean water, and direct that to the river. So it's mainly sewage that gets directed to the sewage treatment plant. So that alone might address some, street flooding in low-lying areas.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca and Beth. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
And I think I need to shuffle the agenda here because Commander Fisher is on the line, and Bruce Kraus, and I know that they need to be elsewhere. So, and by the time we get to them, they may not be available for us. So I wanted to skip down to the brief updates about East Carson Street. So many of you know that the Southside Community Council had a meeting with city, county, and state officials on Wednesday, September 1st to discuss the safety concerns related to activity on East Carson Street on weekends this summer. So if you were not in attendance, the meeting can be viewed at our YouTube page under Southside Community Council East Carson Street meeting. Believe it or not, a month has gone by, and we thought it might be a good idea to just share some progress about what's been happening with regarding safety for residents and visitors to our neighborhood. And I hope you're aware that this work will continue to take time, but we thought we might get some feedback from Bruce and Commander Fisher. So I'm going to turn it over to the two of them.
Good evening.
Commander, you on?
I'm on. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Why don't you take the lead on that, please?
Okay, I will. Good evening, folks, and thanks again for having me. The progress that we're making on the south side, the Carson Street corridor, I'm pleased with. I have some statistical data I'll share with you here for the month of September. We did the one-way outbound traffic only street closure. My opinion was it was very successful. It accomplished what I wanted to see done down there with regards to disorderly people, a backup of traffic, and people going into the street. We did get some negative feedback from some of the tavern restaurant owners below 15th, 14th Street, closer to the 10th Street Bridge. They felt that it was negatively impacting their businesses. So as such, we are going to reopen Carson Street this weekend. I should say reopen. We're not going to implement the one-way traffic detour. We're going to let it flow as normal. We officers down there as we normally do, but all the side streets will be open. Carson Street will be completely open, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. If not, we have to revert back to the one-way outbound only. But we'll see. The weather's changed. It's getting cooler. I've noticed over this past month that things have seemed to taper off a little bit. One thing that was helpful was they stopped the under 21 crowd at Cosmo's bar. That as soon as that stopped, all the shooting stopped and all the other problems. The bad news is Cosmos is going to re-implement that and invite the under 21 crowd there again. We've tried to persuade them differently, but they're going to do that, and by law, they're permitted to do so as long as they meet certain criteria. Some stats that I have for you, you had asked for these, and this just pertains to the South Side corridor. This does not pertain to the entire or to Zone 3, but for that corridor in the month of September, the officers made 5 physical arrests. They issued 151 traffic citations. The bulk majority of them were parking citations. They towed 68 vehicles. They issued 3 non-traffic citations. And what I mean by that is those could be citations for disorderly conduct, etc. And we had 64 calls for service in that area for the month of September. Various calls could be for a fight, a disorderly person, anything along those lines. So that's the statistical data. I've been working with Councilman Kraus and Claire Master Bernardino, and this week we did a walk through the old number 3 police station. What we're hoping to do is reopen initially the cell block only for use to house intoxicated people for a 6 to 8 hour period until they're sober. Claire has informed me that they're making progress on that, and they're getting ready to go in there and patients. I don't know when that will be done, and that could be the predecessor to reopening that as a community-oriented police station. I don't know that. I don't know. We get too far ahead of myself. My goal is to get that cell block open so that we can utilize that on Friday and Saturday nights. That's all that I have to report. If you have, I'd be happy to answer them, or perhaps Bruce would like to pick up. Councilman Cross would like to pick up at this point.
Yeah. So a couple things come to mind. There will be an official statement tomorrow from the Department of Public Safety as to the reverting back to the 2-way traffic on Carson Street. So we might want to kind of keep that to ourselves just for a little bit more, but there will be an extensive statement coming from the Department of Public Safety tomorrow. I think speaking a little more fully to what we believe was accomplished by doing that. The Cosmo, oh God, Cosmo. I just would like to flesh out a little bit about what the commander brought up about Cosmo wanting to do a college night again. There was a meeting between the public safety department today. Director Hisrich was in attendance. Allison Herndon was in attendance, and it was intended to set very high standards that if they are permitted to do this legally and liquor code permits that they will be watched extremely closely, and there will be a very high standard of conduct that will be set, and they will be held accountable for any infractions that fall outside of that high standard of conduct. So we'll see. We will see how that goes. I, for one, am not happy about it. But there's a number of things that exist within state law and liquor code that I'm not happy with, but is out of our hands on a localized level here. In terms of things calming down, if you will, I was talking to Barbara a little bit off the record before the meeting started. Some of it is really timing and sort of the stars aligning. There could not have been a worse time for COVID restrictions to have been lifted than in the middle of summer on Memorial Day weekend. It made for a really rough summer. Traditionally, August is not a kind month in terms of late night activities, and that's not just here locally, that's nationally. We did not know what we could expect for the month of August, but we saw what happened and how things had ramped up. But I think some of the measures that were taken through the Department of Public Safety it did help to calm some things. And I think some of the things that helped were also just sort of the natural order of things. August is behind us, September is behind us, weather's changing. Students are back in school. The unemployment benefits have exhausted. People are realizing that there's perhaps not the disposable income that they might have had at one time. And so we're beginning to see the sort of natural calming effect. And as we go into winter, that should continue. But I met with Allison earlier, and I was saying, I think this then presents us the perfect opportunity for November, December, January, February, March to continue for a much broader long-term strategy to make certain that things remain calm and that we don't, God forbid, revert back to where we had that not so pleasant blip that came up in August. In terms of the construction on Carson Street, and that is having an impact as well, you can see that they are in the area between 13 and 17. They will be there for probably 90 days, doing all of the accessibility ramps in that area. We are probably looking at another year before, probably next summer, before construction is completed. Once all of the ramps have completed, then we have all of the traffic signals to be installed, all of the highway cantilever lighting to be installed, the road to be resurfaced, all the crosswalks to be installed, new wayfarer signage. So there's still a significant portion of the project to be completed. And as much as we tried to not have it coincide, it looks as though the federal 18th Street signal project is going to happen while Carson Street is happening. So that will redesign the intersections at Sarah, Jane, Josephine, Mission, Arlington, and Amanda. Bumpouts, much like what you're seeing happening at East Carson, new traffic signals, and so forth. New, completely reconstructed 18th and Josephine, which will be completely redesigned with the traffic signal being installed. So I believe we're in for some heavy construction here, but it's all incredibly positive, and it's a major investment, probably totaling well into the high 20s of millions of dollars of investment, and all geared to improve safety, which is a very encouraging component to the construction that's taking place. There was one other thing, and I was able to speak with a resident whose house was driven into by the car during the month of August. She could not be any kinder, nicer, more pleasant to work with. They fired a contractor. They are beginning the work. We're going to assist with their permits to keep them on track so that we can get them back in their house as quickly as possible. And then Bob informed me right before the meeting, the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure will be installing a guide rail in that section of 17th Street. So I think that's everything, Barbara. I know you have a full agenda, but I would be happy to take a question or two if they come up.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes, what I've been asked is, we did present a list of ideas from the community. Have any of them been acted upon or worked towards? One that came to mind was the lighting. We wanted to really get rid of those temporary generator lights that are along Carson. It gives to that war-like atmosphere along there. And we talked about adding permanent high output lights to the new light standards, possibly along Carson as part of the project expansion. That's just one of the, I think we had 8 things, Barbara, do you remember?
Yeah, well, just stay on that one just quickly. When Senator Costa was in the meeting that Community Council hosted, we did put that on to Senator Costa. He said he was willing to assist with that. We're nowhere near that portion of the project. I believe that would be a add-on item to the lighting that has already been spec'd once it's installed. But I can certainly follow up with Senator Costa as to what that might look like, being the project is a state project and being handled by PennDOT. But I know you were there, Michael. He was very receptive to the idea.
Yeah, I just didn't know, because I know some of the lights are owned by you guys. I know the traffic intersection poles and standards are owned by the city, by PennDOT. So if we need lights elsewhere other than at the corners, will that not be a city issue then?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would think that would fall under lighting design to determine, how best to light the street once those poles have been installed. I don't know that we could make that kind of determination without, the base already installed and trying to decide exactly how to direct light to be its most effective.
And Mike, I think some of the other items, we can look at those, when we meet at another time, hopefully in October, and then be able to bring those back to the full group. Since we've only had a month, and some of those are, there's a need for them to work on them. So
Barbara,
yes.
Barbara, I do have a quick question because it would be sort of timely. This is Quaylin, and my question is the 2400 Carson Street project and the bump outs that are going to be occurring. Is there a bump out that's going to be on the 24th Street, and is that going to affect whether it's pickup, parking, or so forth?
I'm not sure, Quaylin, I understand the question. You're talking about the intersection of 24th and Carson?
There's a facility that's going on at 2400 Carson Street. All right, there's a UPMC is putting in a.
Yeah, the old Goodwill building.
Right. But there's also, I guess I'm asking, is there going to be a bump out at the corner of 24th and Carson? Because that may affect how kids get picked up and so forth, because we had a very long discussion with them about that.
Yeah, the project as designed stops at 25th Street. I can't answer specifically to 24th being included. My gut tells me, yes, it would be included for bump out, but would be more than happy to revisit the plans and give specific answer to Barbara to distribute. That'd be helpful.
Yes, it would. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. And one last thing, Barbara, I wanted to mention the bench at the outdoor garden at 11th and Carson. I know Kathleen is on the call here somewhere. We've been petitioned for some assistance in replacing the bench top. Bob and I were able to meet with our budget director. We actually are able to actually fund that in its entirety. We thought we might only be able to fund it partially, but the Office of Management and Budget actually found a little bit of extra. And so coming this Tuesday, we'll reprogram that money to come directly to Community Council to be able to do the top of the bench at the 11th Street Garden in its entirety.
Thank you. That's really good news. You may want to share about the Clean Team proclamation.
Yeah, the Parking Enhancement District is back on track. We took a huge hit during COVID, and there was one weekend, if I remember, it was something like $39. It was bad, but the Parking Enhancement District's up and running. It's back. We're pulling the kinds of monies that we believe that we could all along. And of course, those are used to fund our Clean Team, which are 2 full-time union employees with benefits that you see on the street every day of the week in some formation to keep the business district and some of the side streets clean. And so Mike and Artie have been here at least 2 years. I want to say it's probably closer to 3 years. We really like them. We want to keep them and as regulars that remain on the street. And I just thought one of the things that would be very nice for us to do would be to recognize their service for the last number of years. And so this coming Friday at 11 o'clock at 18th and Carson, we are meeting with a number of different city agencies, Southside Community Council, some businesses on the street to surprise Mike and Artie with a proclamation from the city, declare it their day in the city, and thank them for the work that what they do and their connection to keeping the street safe. We know there's a definite connection between cleanliness and safety, and they play an amazing role in keeping the street clean and presentable, which adds to the overall safety of the street as well too. So if you can attend or would like to attend, would love to have you. 11 o'clock, 18th and Carson on Friday. So thanks, Barbara.
Thank you. Anything else for Commander Fisher or Bruce?
But the only
Thanks,
thing
everybody.
we asked for if we could get from Commander Fisher the summary of all the arrests and tickets and everything every month, if we could start getting that information in more detail from him. I think Allison, you said you were getting that already, but if we could get it at our end so we could start seeing if we could get that out. Again, we're trying to make it more publicly known that, bad actors are being addressed in the South Side. So
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. We can get that to you at the on a monthly basis and at the end of the.
that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
And to clarify, Mike, this is Allison Harnden. I get the parking citations, but not the arrests and stuff. So we can help with that. And I know I promised to follow up with Dave Honorato, who can get much more detailed probably than what we get, that you were asking kind of where citations were happening. We don't get that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping between that information we talked about at that meeting, which is great. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I know that Commander Fisher will also have additional parking enforcement, towing information, but I was asking him actually for more like the criminality, the arrests and citations for that. So I'm hoping we can put it all together, compile it, keep an ongoing graph of where we are as a community, and we can report back where we stand and how we're doing.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you all.
Thank you.
So we're back to our agenda and the public art for Southside Park. And as residents of Southside, we're fortunate to have the Riverfront Trail and the river on our north side and Southside Park on our south side. And I think there are times that we forget that we have Southside Park and always mention the Riverfront Trail. Much work has been done and continues to be done at Southside Park, thanks to many people. And just would like to give a shout out to another successful Goat Fest. Carlin Mintz-Moyer, a Pittsburgh artist, is our next speaker who would like to share the public art project that is being planned for the park and the importance of your input in the design development process. So Karen, it's yours.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, interesting. I can't see it. Okay. Well, thanks for having me, everybody. I'm Karen Mintz-Moyer, and I'm an artist. I've lived in Pittsburgh for several decades now. And I primarily make sculpture and public art. And I work in a variety of materials, but what all of my work has in common is it relates to nature in some way. And so I just wanted to show you a few examples of my work, and then invite you to give some input into the project that I'll be doing in Southside Park. So here's an example that might look familiar to some of you. This is the dandelions outside of the Brewhouse Gallery. This was created for a temporary installation in New York City, and is now permanently installed outside the brew house. And this is a grouping of street signs that are made to look like dandelions. And I chose the dandelion image because the dandelion is a pioneer species and grows in areas where almost nothing else will grow, and then pulls up nutrients from the soil, loosens up the soil, and others can move in. So it was a way of honoring the pioneers and the unsung heroes in our midst. And so here I wanted to honor the artists that lived in this building for many years. I was one of those artists. I lived at the brew house for about 10 years. So I lived in the South Side for quite a bit. Here's another piece that I have at the Pittsburgh International Airport. This is in Concourse A at the airside terminal. This is called Shy Canopy. And the title is a reference to a phenomenon that is seen in some forests. In some forests, the trees will actually leave a gap in between their canopies so that the leaves don't touch each other. They're sort of being polite with their neighbors. Scientists aren't quite sure why this happens. But there's 13 of these structures. They're essentially mobiles. They all can turn in the air currents, so they make the air currents in the airport visible. And the wooden space frames that you see reference bridge trusses from historic Pittsburgh bridges. And the green shapes that are suspended from those reference the shapes of leaves of white oak and sugar maple trees. So kind of honoring the built environment and the natural environment of our region. And this is Diamonds. This is downtown on Market Street. So Market Square at one time was known as the Diamond, apparently because if you turned a map so that north was facing up, the square was a diamond. And it was home to the diamond market for a lot of years. And so I was interested in using the diamond image. There's actually two levels of diamonds seen in these two sculptures, and it's the sculptures that are on top of the light poles that light up. So there are 40 plexiglass diamonds within each sculpture. Each one has an LED and they turn on and off with the street lights. So they are on from dusk to dawn. And those are diamonds that look like a diamond ring diamond. They're a cut diamond. The blue grid shapes that they're suspended within reference the shape of the diamond molecule. So it kind of references the natural shape of the diamond and the sort of culture faceted shape of the diamond So referencing the history of Market Square and also thinking about the city as, you know, it was once this rough natural landscape, and then we cut our sort of street grid and the geometry of the city into it to make it part of our culture. So that's all I'm going to show as far as my work. There is a link to my website on the Engage PGH link, which I'll show you in a minute if you want to see more of my work. But the project that I've been chosen to do has not been designed yet. I'm soliciting input from folks in the South Side before I design it, but it will fall somewhere within the footprint of the phase 1 renovation. And so that's the part that's in color on this map. Probably most of you have seen this image before. So I am just, interested. I've been researching the history of the park. I've been attending community meetings with some of the different groups, including Friends of Southside Park. I see Kitty and Jeff on there, so hi guys. Spending time in the park, so getting to know as much as I can about the place. And I want you guys' input into this. And so there is a survey available online, and it's on Engage Pittsburgh, which perhaps some of you are familiar with. I know that this was used for the public, for the master planning for the park. And so if you get on Engage Pittsburgh and search for Southside Public Arts, it will come up. And the questions are pretty straightforward. One of them is, what would you like public art in Southside Park to accomplish? And so that might be something like make the entrances more visible and noticeable, or maybe you want me to celebrate some certain aspect of the park, or frame a view, or provide some seating opportunities. So anything that you want the public art to accomplish. It could be a practical purpose or a thematic theme that you would like to see addressed. Is there a hidden or underappreciated thing about the park that you think should be highlighted? What's your favorite element of Southside Park? And that might be a physical part of the landscape that you enjoy, plants or animals that you see when you're at the park, or just an experience that you have when you're there. And also, if you have any photos, historical maps or images, stories about the park, any other kind of information that you want to share with me, there's an opportunity for you. You can write that in, or you can even attach files and send me images if you want. So there's an opportunity to do that. And then also, if there's anything else you want to tell me, you can do that. All the questions are optional, so you can answer one, you can answer all of them. And I believe the link for the survey is going to be sent out in the October newsletter, if I'm correct about that. So I will stop sharing my screen now if I can find the button. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
I might have missed you saying this. Is there a particular timeline for like when it's aiming to be done, or is that fluid, or how does that work?
When the artwork will be done?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it really hinges on the schedule for the larger construction project. My understanding right now is that they are having some permitting issues related to stormwater. So that's kind of holding it up a bit. So I believe the last update I got was that they are hoping to put the project out to bid in spring of 2022, and that construction would start sometime in 2022. So, you know, depending on what part of the park I end up working in, and, you know, what the schedule for that particular piece is, it's probably in 2022 or 2023 is when the artwork will be completed.
Cool.
Don't procrastinate if you have any thoughts about the about the art. I think you're
Yeah.
talking about completing the work. So
Mhm. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. I would love your input. If there's a particular place you think would be ideal for work, that would be great. One area that I'm sort of focusing on right now that I think is an opportunity is the entrances to the park. There's one entrance on 18th and one on 21st that are within the footprint of phase one. And I'm sure that there will be signage added, but might be nice to kind of make them more visible and kind of really celebrate the transition from, you know, the city into the more wild park area. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, but let me know what you guys think. I would love your input.
we love the brew house art. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Okay, thank you. So we're going to go back to looking at the Southside Community Council accomplishments. And for 2021, at last year's general meeting, we were able to share what we accomplished through the lens of our committee structure. And this year, what I wanted to do was share what we've been doing through what I would have to say is one of our biggest accomplishments of the year, and that's a revised, refreshed website. So over the last few years, we've grown as an organization, and it wasn't necessarily reflected in our website. And so thanks to Jackie Kaiser and our tech committee, a request for proposals was developed. Companies who responded were interviewed, and one was selected, MIBS, website design. So keep in mind that MIBS worked on the back end with the design while we as a council had to provide the content. So that took a lot of time, but it helped us organize in words what we actually do. And so again, many thanks to our board for their help throughout. And as I share, hopefully, my screen with the website, I would like to use the website as a way to just share with you some of the work that we've been doing, and then give you an opportunity, let you know where to go, because there are things that are updated all the time, and it would be good for you to utilize the site since we've revised it. Okay, so this is our website now. And you can see that we have, I think it's called Wraparound. And for those of you that are knowledgeable about this site on my board, please chime in if you see that I'm steering people in the wrong direction or I'm not providing the correct information.
Barbara, it's called a carousel.
Okay, thank you. Not a wraparound. Okay. So you see that we try to provide some photos with places to go. And hopefully you all came here for the meeting details. And so on the page, we have our mission, and we have news information, historic guidelines. This seems to be a quick place to get things. Our newsletters and community information. If you want to stay informed and are not on, don't have access to the newsletters and other information that we provide via email, this is a place to sign up. And if after you've looked at the website and you want to become more a part of the work that we do, this provides you with an opportunity to see what you might be interested in. So, about us, we show our mission and vision, our accomplishments, our board of directors. Let's see, let's go to that. So, we've included our accomplishments from the past through years. So these are outlined, and then we also have what it is that we've done since 2015. Let's see, here you can see our board of directors. Since we have become a registered community organization, we work with city planning for development activities meetings. And we've, as we talk about our accomplishments since July of 2020, we've probably had, we have had more dams than not. I think there might have been 3 months that we did not have a meeting. And so it's providing an opportunity for more people in the community to learn about the development in the community, and then also to provide, feedback and comments. So this gives you a lot of information about it. And we also, I'm not sure if it's on this area. So here, if you can't attend a meeting, or you all of a sudden are interested in, Quaylen brought up the work that's being done at the 2400 block of East Carson Street, you can always go to the our YouTube page, and you'll see the recording. This is another way to get to the East Carson Street Historic District guidelines. And again, another accomplishment is that we're all becoming more well-versed in the guidelines, especially because of the meetings. And as a result, we're able to look at if things are happening on East Carson Street that might be in violation of the guidelines, we can certainly bring that to the attention of the city. One example is you may have noticed that the Rite Aid building was painted over, and I believe it's white. And one of our residents knew that should not have occurred, since the guidelines state that they, in the historic district, you should not be painting outside facades with if they have never been painted. So it was a violation. It went to 311. It came to us through a dam, and and Rite Aid is currently working on removing that paint. So what it has provided us with an opportunity to have mistakes corrected. Again, this is information about the East Carson Street historic guidelines. And I think what's great about this website is that it's formatted in a way that I think you're drawn to read it, and to, to hit the various links to learn more about whatever, whatever the link speaks to. And okay, let's see. Public meetings and minutes. One of the requirements of being a registered community organization is that our agenda and our minutes are public. And so these agendas and minutes really, provide you with a lot of information, all of the information that we do every month. And they are organized so that you see what members have been in attendance. We often have a mayor's report, and then we have committee reports. So, you can see we have our minutes, we speak about our finances, technology, and this, provides us with a lot of really good information. Our website, as we were working on it, board member recruitment, strategic planning, and that was all within the administration committee. Then we have our fundraising and community engagement. So here you can learn each month, when are things happening with the spring social, the home tour, flower sale, pie sale, block party, the work that we do as I said, with fundraising and community engagement. Again, planning, zoning, licensing, and permitting, we're doing a lot of this as a result of the being a registered community organization. So we usually share what the presentations are for the previous month, and then what we will be working on, what we may be working on the following month, and try to give an update as to how those have progressed through, the Planning Commission, Historic Review Commission, Zoning, and Art Commission. We, share details about Historic Review, zoning, if there are any PLCB updates, our Beautification, Revitalization, Stabilization, and Maintenance Committee. Again, South Watch is under there, and we try to provide some details related to that, and where there might be issues that we're working on in the community. We do a lot of work with block watches. So sometimes, there's more information than others. You can see here, there was a considerable amount of information. And again, these are all the different activities that we do, and we report on them. And I think one of the reasons we did this was, I was concerned, I was always trying to figure out what needs to be on the agenda. And we also wanted to share what the different committees were doing. And several of our board members thought that this would be, after looking at our goals, this would be a great way to work on the agenda. So we, when I put the agenda out maybe 2 weeks before the meeting, I request that whoever's in charge of the information, in charge of that committee, they need to fill this out so that it can be read prior to the meeting. And if there's no need for a discussion, then we just move on. If there's any discussion or questions, we can, follow through with that. But otherwise, if we're reading, we all know what is happening. And then, there may be, some pieces of information. We talk about old business, and, we also deal with, with new business. Again, I think an accomplishment for us was, coming together as a group to request funding for a master plan for Armstrong and Ormsby Parks. And this came as a result of some of the work that I would say our Southside mothers were doing because of their concerns about the lack of cleanliness and safety that they were seeing at Ormsby Park. And as we worked with Bruce Kraus and his staff, we talked about it was important that, we again be strategic and work on a master plan. So I believe that's in the, capital budget, maybe for 2022, but Bruce and Bob can correct me on that. But, we were doing a lot with the street trees. That's important, I think for Southside, but it's also important for our board members. So there's an interest in that, so they take it on. So again, you can see the work that we're doing. And as I said, if all you do is come to the site each month and look at our meeting minutes, it really does tell you what it is that we're working on. And you can see the different, if we go to, again, community engagement, you can see what, the green in that, what we focus on as parklets. Again, we're an accomplishment, and, it continues, is the work that's being done on Esther's Plaza. And with Kitty and Jeff here, who are pretty much spearheading that work, we really, as a community, need to be grateful to their stewardship, because that work is going to be starting soon. And it's going to be great. It's truly, I think, an accomplishment for our community. And then you can see what's happening at Southside Park, Public Art, Riverfront Trail, the Ormsby Park Community Garden. And again, we can thank Kathleen Petrillo for the work that she's doing on the community garden, and the volunteers that she has pulled in to help her, so that I think by next year, it will be ready for the various kinds of planting that she has proposed. And I've mentioned Southwatch. I think that their continued accomplishments with Southwatch. We deal mainly with trash, but with some other issues. There have been some problem properties that we've been coordinating efforts with permits, licensing, and inspections with Bruce's office, and with other departments in the city. And we're seeing some buildings being torn down that have been on the demolition list or the condemned list for quite a few years. So it just speaks to the importance of working, I think, in a smart kind of way, and being collaborative, rather than not. So we have to, this needs to be changed. We are having meetings, and we started, I think, in July with meetings. And again, our minutes will always be posted here. So we have the June minutes up. I need to get the April, and then our next meeting will be, I think it's maybe October 14th. It's the second Wednesday. But again, this gives you a sense of what Southwatch is. And so let's see that. We also, as a community organization, are part of the planning forum, and you can read about these meetings. And what we are attempting to do is make sure that we post the minutes, because we meet every month. It's the second Tuesday, and we get a lot of information about development, because we share what's happening with the development on Southside Flats. The Slopes Association shares what's happening on the slopes. Bruce and Allison provide information about the Parking Enhancement District. And then if there are other presentations similar to the PWSA presentation that we saw, that will come to the planning forum. And then we haven't done much with Graffiti Watch, because we lost our lead. If anybody's interested in painting and painting graffiti, there's a lot that needs to be done prior to the painting over graffiti. We'd love to have you work with us. And then, as I mentioned, we've really been doing a lot with the block watches, and we cover a good, I think we may cover a lot of the South Side, when I think 5 years ago, we may have had a 17th Street block watch. And thanks to Robert, Evan, and all the block watch leads, Kathleen Petrillo, we've expanded. And so it, that provides you with, you're not looking at all of South Side, you're looking just at the areas around your home and your block, and getting to know your neighbors and working alongside them to make your area a better place. And then, there's a lot of ways. I think we do a lot of things that if you're interested in becoming more involved, this is the page that you should look at. We also, we haven't had a fundraiser other than our pie and flower sales for, I think, 2 years now. So, we lost our garden tour and home tour income, and that provided us with the majority of the monies that we used over the course of the year. So we always take donations. And, you know, this last part, there are people on the call here, on the you know, the meeting, who could be very helpful to us. You know, we've put this together, and if you're new to Southside, what is it that you would like to see on this section as a community resource? You know, it's a place for you to go to find things out. So we're interested in hearing from you, and those of you who have lived here a while and are more familiar with the resources here. What might we have missed? That would be very helpful. Kathleen does a very, very nice job of gathering information from a variety of sources, so that our newsletters may be, you know, the place to go if you want to know what's happening on Southside. But, you know, this is also a place. So I think that's it for me. Does anyone from our board, anyone that's been involved with the website, is there anything that I may have missed that you would like to bring to everyone's attention? I hope I'm not the only one on this call. Okay. So it doesn't sound like anyone wants to contribute anything else.
Well, I contributed by saying, great job, very impressive.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And again, you know, I think just to take this opportunity, I always say that I can die a happy woman because of that website. You know, that was really an accomplishment that we've been pushing for a number of years, and the tech team, Jackie Kaiser and all, really moved forward with it, and I appreciate it. But I also too want to say, when I'm thinking about our accomplishments, and I certainly have forgotten quite a few of them as I went through the website, just to acknowledge our board. I think that, you know, over the last 5 years, we have worked very, very hard to look at the skills that we needed so that we could be a strong community organization. And, you know, we've sought out people, other people have sought us out. And, you know, it's really a very, very productive board. And, you know, the majority are not retired and are working, you know, full-time jobs, also have families, but are finding time to make the community a better place. And then for those of you that are volunteers, you know, we also thank you, you know, for the work that you're doing with us. So Kathleen, you look like you, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do actually. Thank you. I was going to say that we like to update our calendar and also for the newsletter with anything that goes on in the South Side. So if there is something that you want to put in the newsletter or you think should go on our calendar, just email us at info@southsidecommunitycouncil.org, and we can look at it if it's something that should go on our events calendar or should go on the newsletter. You know, we can definitely add that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the pie sale. Unfortunately, with everything else going on around the world, we can't get all the pies that we normally get. So we are still going to have a sale, but it's going to be a limit, it's going to be pecan pie, pumpkin pie, and pumpkin rolls. Unfortunately, the company we go through did not have enough workers to make pies this year, so we couldn't get any of the other pies. But I'll be getting that out. Just look to our website for all the information, and that'll be coming out within the next couple weeks.
Did you want to mention the adding the poinsettia sale?
Oh yeah, we're also going to try to do a poinsettia sale this year. I've been saying for the last couple of years, I want to do it, and it always gets away from me. So I did contact I contacted Chapin's, and they do have poinsettias for, you know, for like a fundraiser. I have to call them back in a couple weeks, and then we'll figure out prices. And again, look to the website. We'll start doing that. I know that one that the order would have to be in by a week before Thanksgiving. So it'll definitely come out way before that. But just keep checking our website.
So as I mentioned, our board members, that will lead me to we have a new board member that we would ask that you vote her in to the Southside Community Council. And I just wanted to share some information about Quaylen Nassar. She has lived on the South Side since 1992 and lives in a home that she and her former husband renovated. She is one of the fortunate South Side residents with a double lot and has turned much of that lot into a garden, although there is room for a car. Most of her career has been spent in broadcasting, 3WS, KDKA TV, and WQED. She was the director of public affairs at KDKA and created major community campaigns while at the station. At WQED, she hosted a health show on WQEX and was involved in several statewide projects for the Pennsylvania Department of Aging and 2 arts campaigns for WQED FM. And as the director of corporate support, she was responsible for raising funds from corporations. And depending on your age, you may have seen Quaylen on the on-air pledge drives that were part of her responsibilities. She loves the friendliness of the people on the South Side and that our neighborhood amenities are so accessible without having a car. Quaylen's been involved with the council for a good while. Her home has been on the home and garden tours, and most recently she has attended just about all, if not all, of the development activity meetings. And like many of us, she's becoming more knowledgeable about the historic district guidelines and wants to make sure that our Southside businesses and East Carson Street property owners understand the importance of them. In the past, we have asked new board members to tell us something about themselves that many would not know or be surprised to know. And Quaylen shared that she choreographed and trained a Middle Eastern folklore troupe that performed at Kennedy Center for a national convention. So Quaylen, would you like to say a few words? We need to take you off mute. Okay. Bob.
I got it. It
Okay.
was me.
All right.
You. I just want to say that I feel very honored to be asked to serve on the Southside Community Council. It's an organization that I have to say is for a community organization that has all volunteers. It's extremely well done and well run, and everyone who works on it does it from their heart. So I'm looking forward to getting to know a lot of you better, those of you who I don't know, and looking forward to working with all of you in the future on the projects that we have coming up and any new projects here on the South Side. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
So since we're going to do a no vote, is there anyone, although we can raise our hands, so, if there's anyone who does not think that Quaylen should become a board member, you may want to voice that. Otherwise, I would say that, hopefully we're all in favor of her. I don't know whether I'm saying this all correctly or not, but, I think I don't know if we need a motion because we're not taking minutes. Joe Pilecki will tell us the correct way.
The correct way, Barbara, would be to make a motion, which I will do. I move that Quaylen Nassar be elected to the Board of Directors of Southside Community Council, and that the vote be held by affirmation, meaning everyone says aye, and then you ask who says nay.
Okay.
And then then the ayes will have it. And that's the correct way.
So y'all may
That's Robert's rules.
So y'all
Yes.
may need to unmute yourselves. So Robert made a motion.
Joe made the motion.
Joe made the motion. Can we have a second?
I'll
second.
Okay, Frank.
Beat me to it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Are there any,
Aye.
is anyone opposed? Okay, I should have reached out to you, Joe, in the first place, so thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome, Quaylen.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
And as I was reading about Quaylen, I also just wanted to share another one of our accomplishments as it related to the historic review guidelines. Things, although there are many of us who are here for the long haul on South Side, many of us have lived here a while. We're a community where, it can be somewhat transient, and that may hold true for either businesses and also property owners. And it was felt that we really needed to share the historic district guidelines, information about them, the link where people can go. So what we did, I believe it was at the beginning of January, February, we had put a letter together and we had it sent to all the property owners, informing them that before they could do anything with the facades on their buildings, that they needed to check with the local review committee, the Southside Community Council, the Historic Review Commission, and so that they would not be in violation. We had a few who were prior to us sending the letter out, and for the most part, I believe we've had people coming to us, and it may very well have been because of those letters. And we did indicate that we will be sending those letters out every year, so that no one can say that they didn't know. Although we know that some people will say that, but we'll have verification that they did receive the letters. So, we're, heading towards the end here. So a few announcements that I did want to make, and it's just, remember the importance of calling 311 and 911 in order to remedy a problem, or get to know the people who live around you, so that it may alleviate the need to do a 311 or 911. We all know about a 911 call, and what I learned through Ellison Harnden, that it's important, even though if you're calling the police about something, it might also be wise to put in a 311, and you may not hear back, but at least it records it, because public safety does review the 311s every, like Monday morning. She looks at those and she shares them with the director of public safety. And it also, as Commander Dixon always shared with us, when you send in a 911, and then it's also true for 311s, it tells the city where the hotspots are. So they can provide resources to those areas. And when problems were occurring on East Carson Street, Allison would say to me, well, we're not getting a lot of 311s for Southside. And I said, we didn't know to do a 311 necessarily, because, we may do those for trash and weeds and all. So it was good information that she provided. List Style with the Zone 3 Public Safety did share today that, and we'll add this to, we'll send this out to our email list, that COVID-19, there will be a COVID-19 clinic this Sunday at St. Paul ME Church in the Hilltop, and both Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are available. So for those who are eligible to receive their booster shot, if they've had a Pfizer, if they had 2 Pfizers, they can get their booster shot. And then but if you haven't received your shot yet, or if you know someone, this is a good place to go. Appointments can be made, but also walk-ins are welcome. And then we'll also be sharing information about 2 meetings, one virtual this coming Monday and an in-person meeting this coming Tuesday at the Market House regarding updates on the residential permit parking program. The city's in the process of transferring the program to the Pittsburgh Parking Authority, who already manage the permits and enforcement in RPP areas. And earlier this year, many of us completed a survey about our experiences with RPP. These meetings will share the results of the survey and the proposed changes to the program. So at this point, there's 2 meetings, one on Monday, virtual. Tuesday, you can walk to the Market House, and both meetings will be sharing the same information. So you only need to go to one. And lastly, unless there are any questions, I'd like to close with just a few words about an important South Pittsburgh resident who helped shape Southside in many ways. You may or may not know Roberta Smith, but she's someone who had an impact on Southside as a neighborhood planner, chamber president, Brashear Association president, and South Pittsburgh Reporter, editor, and publisher. She leaves quite a legacy, and as a community, we owe much to her. So if you have time, and please take the time to read about her in the South Pittsburgh Reporter. I don't think that she encountered a problem that she didn't think she could solve, and she worked hard with many to make that happen. I knew Roberta since my early 20s and want to thank her for paving the way for those of us who are continuing that work. So, you know, there were many firsts. You know, she, you know, as I said, she's just paved the way for many of us. So if are there any questions? We're now at 8:25. Any questions or comments before we end our fall general meeting? Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up, which may be end the meeting right now. But
Great job, everyone. Thank you.
But I also want to thank Bob Charlin. You know, he's been, you know, he's the host, he's managing this, and I do want to thank him very, very much. And we'll be posting this meeting to our YouTube page. Thank you all.